tip. If you think your pivot is stuck, it probably is stuck. Don't turn it on and then go check and see if it's stuck. This pivot had shut off and I was like, it's kind of funny. So I just came out here and I started it and it started up just fine, running water. I'm like, it must have stopped for a reason. And then I looked at where the pivot was at the field. I was like, it's in this little draw and it gets stuck there almost every single time it comes around. So I was like, well, maybe it's just a coincidence that it's in that position. No. So I went out and checked it and totally stuck and kind of soaked myself standing there assessing the situation. So let me go show you what we're working with here. I don't know if you can really tell on camera, but the land slopes down like this, and we're gonna have to get wet here to show you what's going on. But essentially the pivot is walking, it's muddy. The pivot is walking uphill and it just didn't quite have enough grab. So there's the ground and the tire dug in like that. So it's not flat, luckily, and this just didn't quite have enough oomph to drag it up the hill, unfortunately. So what we're gonna do is wait for this afternoon, because it needs to dry out a little bit. Obviously water's still coming out of the pivot. It needs to dry out a little bit, and then bobcat or mini excavator or some kind of piece of equipment that we can drive on this road right here is an access road, because we've had to do this before. And then Dad will be out here pulling slash pushing the pivot, and then I will be at the panel box, and I'll be pushing forward and reverse, and we'll just be running it dry without water, and we will get it unstuck and then send it on its way. Right now, I'm checking on a seed corn field. If you've watched any of my other videos, you know that seed corn is farmed a little bit differently than regular commercial corn or popcorn or sweet corn or white corn or anything like that. Anyways, you can watch, I have a lot of other videos on that. It's been sprayed with a defoliant, and so it is almost ready to be harvested, which is super cool. It gets harvested a lot earlier than most other corn. This pivot is running nicely, and this one don't think that's supposed to be like that. So luckily I'm seeing some dark blue clouds to the north there. Hopefully we get a rain, because this pivot cannot be irrigating right now. Unfortunately, these two pivots, they're in the same field. This one and this one, they crashed. And this one was unharmed, obviously. It's running right now. This one took the worst of it. Luckily, it's only one tower down, but quite unfortunate. Holding on by a, I was gonna say a thread, but it's holding on by the rubber boot that connects the two towers. This is definitely something that we're going to call in professionals to fix. So hopefully they get here soon. If you're new here, I promise not every day is like this. It's usually only about once a week that we have major events like this happen. And I'm only partially kidding. Farming is fun, but there's so many intricate little pieces of it that there's usually always something going wrong. What's that saying? It takes a village to raise a child. I'm gonna do a little correction to that. I think it takes a village to run a farm. Certified work truck right here. Got the Ram hooked up to the 8345R. It's been sitting for so long that the batteries went dead. So getting that started, and then we're going to unhook the cultivator, put in the building, and then we are going to use that telehandler and take the destroyer blades off that trailer so that we can put the destroyer blades and the cultivator in one of the cold storage buildings and have those put away for the year because we have no more use for those until next year. Behind the trailer with the destroyer blades on it, we have our sprayer Boom. And to give you just a little update, well, background, the sprayer was dead in the water when I was destroying, but we found a remanned engine. So hopefully we can get that shipped up from Florida and put in. Just so you know, anything I put on video is not a recommendation to do yourself. Unsure on the safety of this, but it is working. So use it for your entertainment, I guess. And I'm gonna stand way back. Until next year. Pretty cool setup, right? This is a lot easier way to see. So on our sprayer, the 4-point quick connect hooks up right there. And then those hoses connect to our air seeder that we spread turnips and radishes with. And then the hydraulics is obviously what turns the blades. That's what chops up all the male rows. But don't need that again for a long time. Now we have to fit that right here. It's going to require a lot of back and forths. Hydraulics unhooked, 3-point unhooked, jack stands down with just a few inches to spare. Dad is driving the tractor out so we can get that pivot unstuck. I'm checking on this one because I can see water pumping. So you'd think, oh, that'd be a good sign. However, on the computer, it says it's red, which means it's safetied out, which means for some reason, the engine is still running, so it's no engine problems, but the pivot has stopped moving. So it's still pumping water, it's just not moving, which is not good. So historically, that means it's either stuck, there's a bad tire, bad gearbox, or maybe it's just some kind of fluke. I need to run it back and forth a few times and it'll be fine. We'll see. So I got up on top of it and looked at it and it was all straight, meaning that there probably isn't a bad tire gearbox. So I ran it backwards, forwards, turned the pump on again, waited, everything's good. So while Dad, is in the tractor at the far end tower of the pivot, he's gonna hook it up with a strap. I am going to be at the power unit here. Going to get it fired up to about 480 volts. Then we will have radios to communicate with. So he can say, run it backwards, run it forwards, all of that. And I can press the buttons for him and hopefully it goes smoothly. I have to say, it is very hot. Standing next to a running engine It's late August, but it's still 95 degrees outside. Taking a break to sit in the shade because I have a feeling it's going to take a while for this thing to walk out. And I just wanted to say that if you think you've been messaging with me on Instagram, direct messages, or if you are receiving replies to your comments under my YouTube videos saying message me on WhatsApp or Telegram or something like that, that is not me and that is a scam. Don't reply to those. I don't want your information to get stolen or your bank accounts to get hacked or anything like that, but just know that those things are a scam. I'm not talking to any fans over any of those apps. I put out a lot of video content and that's how I communicate with you guys. Or you can find me on other platforms